Students, in today's video we will discuss some important facts and features related to clinical thermometer used by doctors and laboratory thermometer used by experimenters, students, teachers and rest of the community. So there are two types of thermometer we will be discussing here in this video lecture. These two thermometers are having one similarity by the physical appearance, that both of them are made up of glass. That's why they are called liquid in glass thermometer. They are called as liquid in glass thermometer. One by one I will keep on sharing certain facts related to them you need to keep in mind, and if you have any question regarding them you can ask. But hope so by the end of the video you will be able to understand what is the difference and similarity between clinical thermometer used by doctors and laboratory thermometer used by engineers and students and teachers. One similarity is that they are made up of glass. That's why they are called as liquid in glass thermometer. So students, it is either a laboratory thermometer or a clinical thermometer. Both can have alcohol or mercury, but in our clinical thermometer we usually use mercury, and in laboratory thermometer we use alcohol. Why we use mercury in clinical thermometer and alcohol in laboratory thermometer we will discuss later on. But at the moment, one thing you need to remember, that mercury thermometer is having a mercury metal which is colorless silver metal which shine when light fall on it. So it is difficult to see it clearly and identify the point because it is colorless, and it will only shine when light will fall on it. In comparison, alcohol is added with some color and we have red color here. So because of its red color, it is easy to identify the end point, and we can easily mark the temperature at that position because it is colorful. So alcohol thermometer is easy to read, whereas mercury thermometer is having silver metal and it will shine when light fall on it, so it is difficult to read the exact temperature. But there are certain benefits of mercury as well in comparison to alcohol we will discuss. But from here you need to remember this fact that we use alcohol thermometer in laboratory and mercury thermometer for clinical purposes. Now I'll show you another diagram. Students, in this diagram, on the left side we have clinical thermometer and on the right side we have laboratory thermometer, that is being used by engineers, and clinical thermometer is being used by doctors. Students, now some important things are there. From this diagram I will clarify you two things. First, clinical thermometer is having mercury in it. Why we use mercury in clinical thermometer? Even when mercury is dangerous to health and toxic as well, it is poisonous, and in comparison to this, laboratory thermometer is having red color alcohol in it. And why we use alcohol in the laboratory thermometer, this I will clarify you. And from this concept you will understand, and you will start understanding the types of thermometers we are using and what are the benefits of using different materials in different thermometers to design them. For example, clinical thermometer is having mercury in it, and laboratory thermometer is having alcohol in it. Students, first difference we have already covered, that it's a colorless silver metal and it's a liquid added with red color, and it is easy and visible in comparison to this silver metal. Now if you see at microscopic level, the clinical thermometer is representing temperature from 35 till 42. If you subtract 35 from 42, you will get 7. So it is representing only 7 degrees. 1 degree, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. It is representing 7 degrees difference starting from 35 to 42. So it is having almost major 7 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 7 degrees. 7 degrees Celsius. Clinical thermometer is usually representing degree Celsius, and we convert it into Fahrenheit. So it is red colored marked 37 degrees Celsius, which is 98 point something Fahrenheit, which is normal body temperature. So its range is very less. It is representing only 7 degrees temperature starting from initial point 35 to 42. So it's 35 1 degree, 36 7 degree, 37 3rd degree, 38 4th, 39 5th, 40 6th, 41 7, and here you can see 42 8th degree. So 7 to 8 degrees are represented by clinical thermometer. But in comparison, if we see laboratory thermometer, it is starting from minus 10 to 0. So here it is 10 degrees, then 0 to 10. So overall 20 degrees, 10 to 20, 30 degrees, 20 to 30, 40 degrees. Why 40? Because here these are 10 degrees as well. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 and 110 degrees. So it is representing from minus 10 to 110. If you take their difference, 110 and minus 10, you will get 120 degrees. So in comparison to clinical thermometer, which was having a difference of 7 degrees, here it's a difference of 120 degrees. So 7 degrees and 120 degrees. Students, here is a very important important fact you need to remember. What are these facts? That clinical thermometer is having small range and it can represent only 7 degrees difference from initial temperature to the final. Whereas laboratory thermometer is having large or wide range. It can represent 120 degrees temperature by its scale which is mentioned on it. So from this video, first fact, after color of the liquid you will represent or you will remember is that clinical thermometer is of small range, laboratory thermometer is of wide range. Students, because of these features, they are having some other characteristics associated with it. The thermometer which is having more or wide range is less sensitive as well. Why it is less sensitive? Because it is having more range, so it will take a lot of time to reach to that temperature, and we will measure that time by using stopwatch. So this thermometer is having more range and it is less sensitive to temperature. It will reach to that temperature for which we are using it, but it will take time. Whereas clinical thermometer is having small range, but it is very sensitive. We will use it in our mouth or armpit. We will place it under arm, in armpit, and we will measure the temperature. So two more facts you remember and you will understand from here. Clinical thermometer is having small range and it is more sensitive. Measure the temperature immediately and the doctor will do the treatment of the patient. Whereas laboratory thermometer is having wide range but it is less sensitive. So we will sit back in the laboratory and see the temperature is increasing gradually with the passage of time, but it will show the exact position after some time. So at the end, from this picture I want to tell you that clinical thermometer small range and more sensitive, whereas laboratory thermometer is having wide range and less sensitive. So students, these are major differences you need to remember, because later in the video, in the next video, we will be discussing how we can increase the range of a thermometer, how we can make it more sensitive, what are key factors which are making it less sensitive, and how we can decrease the range as well. So this all depends upon structure and type of material being used. So if you see here from this that mercury is used to show less range but more sensitivity, and here alcohol is being used to show more range but less sensitivity. So these from these two pictures you also remember that range and sensitivity is inversely proportional. If you decrease range, sensitivity will increase. If you increase range, sensitivity will decrease. Students, in the next video lecture we will definitely be discussing the structure of thermometer, which will decide that thermometer is less sensitive or more, it is having more range or less range, and two other factors as well. Now we will see in the linked video, in the last part of this video, that what are temperature ranges of clinical thermometer and which material is being used in it. What are the ranges of laboratory thermometer and which material is being used in either, in the form of flashcards. Your responsibility is to write each flashcard on your notebook. Also, Draw this clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer on your notebook as well by this scale which is mentioned on it. So students, this portion includes some facts. You will write these facts in the form of star points on your notebook. First star point says that thermometers are of different types and have different uses. So mercury thermometer is being used in laboratory, and alcohol is being mercury thermometer is used for clinical purposes, and mercury thermometer is used for laboratory. But they can be used differently as well, depending upon the design and range as well. If it is having small range from 35 to 41, so it will be used for clinical purposes, and it is having large range, then it will use for other purposes in the laboratory. So first of all, we will see clinical thermometer. Clinical thermometers are used for measuring body temperature. So to measure the body temperature, we will be using clinical thermometer, whereas laboratory thermometers are used for measuring the temperature of different objects. Students, all the objects other than human body are being measured by laboratory thermometers or other thermometers like infrared, not infrared but like thermocouple thermometer, because infrared thermometer also used to measure the human body temperature. Next our point is, after this we will learn about laboratory thermometers in detail. First is, in a laboratory thermometer we use a thermometer to measure the temperature of gases in laboratory when you are doing the experiment, liquids and solids, for accuracy in the experiment. That's okay, we are using it in the lab to measure the temperature of gases, liquid and solid. So now these thermometers use mercury in them. So laboratory thermometer is having mercury. Thermometers work on the principle of thermal expansion. It means when this bulb will absorb heat, the level of the mercury will rise. How? This is representing the portion of the thermometer. When there is less heat, particles are closely packed, the level of the mercury will rise less. Whereas when there is more heat, the particles will gain more kinetic energy and they will expand, and the liquid level or the mercury level will rise, and this rise can be measured in the form of digits or temperature. Mercury will expand according to the heat given to it. The more the heat, the more is the expansion. So it is clear to us. So students, when the mercury will heat up, it is symbolically represented this way, because if there is more heat, the color is going to change as well, because it is representing more heat by different colors. When less heat, it is blue, then changing into gray, then reddish as well. So the mercury is in the bulb, round bulb. When it is heated, it expands into the long cylindrical construction. So thermometer is usually a cylindrical portion with uniform bore. It means it's uniform stem. So when it will heat up, it will increase, so we can measure its temperature. You can see that from 0 to 100 degrees Celsius, so it means it's laboratory thermometer because it is having wide range, that is 32 Fahrenheit to 212 Fahrenheit. So it's a laboratory thermometer with more range. So the length, or this length, will be measured as the degree of heat called temperature. Different scientists have different approach for this, and we have already done the formula of measuring the unknown temperature. Students, You can see the last video I have uploaded measuring temperature. There are two methods which are represented there in that video, and examiner usually asks in the exam. So after this you can see that there is a comparison of Celsius, Fahrenheit and Kelvin. We have already done this. I have represented you in a video these three temperature scales. So here is a fact: Celsius is the most common unit of temperature in the world. This is used in clinical thermometer. So clinical thermometer is having degrees Celsius and Fahrenheit mentioned on it. Fahrenheit is mostly used in the US, and Kelvin is called the absolute scale of the temperature used in the laboratories for accuracy. So Kelvin is being used in laboratories and degree Celsius is used in clinical thermometer, whereas Fahrenheit is also mentioned on clinical thermometer. Now students, you will guess which type of thermometer it is. First of all, this thermometer is having a range from -10 to 110 degrees Celsius. So it is clear it is having a wide range, so it's a laboratory thermometer. In lab we require a thermometer with greater range. So the range of measurement of the temperature of the laboratory thermometer is -10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. Now we will see, you will keep on writing these facts as star points. Now we will see clinical thermometer. So doctor use a kind of thermometer to measure the temperature of humans. How we will use it? We can put them under the tongue or under the armpits. They are clinical thermometer. A clinical thermometer has a kink in it. This kink in O levels is called constriction. What is constriction? We will discuss later on when we discuss structure of the thermometer. A clinical thermometer has a kink in it. It is a sharp bending in the thermometer. It prevents the rapid fall of the mercury after measuring the temperature. Students, you can write it as a star point. Later I will shed light on this kink, and this is called constriction in O levels. You can write its use as well, which is mentioned here. A clinical thermometer has a kink in it. It is a sharp bending in the thermometer. It prevents the rapid fall of mercury after measuring the temperature. If a line is missing, I am reading it. It prevents the rapid fall of mercury after measuring the temperature. So here it is represented another important key factor, that this kink or this constriction is present in the clinical thermometer but not in laboratory thermometer. You can see that laboratory thermometer is having mercury and here it is having alcohol. So this is without kink, with kink, and it is without kink. Laboratory thermometer is not having any kink or constriction to stop the liquid, whereas the clinical thermometer is having a kink in it. The kink gives enough time to record the measurement. Kink is absent in the laboratory thermometer. We will discuss in detail about this in the next video lectures. So next important point is, these thermometers use Celsius scale. The normal temperature of an average human being is 37 degrees Celsius. That is clearly represented here, 36.9 degrees Celsius and 98.4 Fahrenheit. The normal person which is not having any fever or cough or cold and flu. So this bending, students, this bending here is called constriction. Narrowness of the bore, this is also called as kink. So it is mercury or colored alcohol can be used. It's a thin glass. Bore, thick bore means inside it there is a bore which is uniform thickness. So it is representing clinical thermometer. We can use alcohol to construct a clinical thermometer. we can use alcohol to construct a laboratory thermometer. In the same way, we can use mercury to construct a clinical thermometer and mercury to construct a laboratory thermometer, because we will know that how we can use any of the liquid to design that particular thermometer. How, we will discuss in the next video lectures as well. So students, not only this, we also use thermometers which are digital and electronic based, but nowadays we also use electronic thermometers or digital thermometer. This type of thermometer is used in the same way as the mercury thermometer is being used, but this is not included in our syllabus. So we are also having an advanced infrared thermometer as clinical thermometer. They can use to measure the temperature from a distance. They are mostly used for babies now. So there is difference between laboratory and clinical thermometer according to their liquid, their ranges and sensitivity. First, clinical thermometer measures the temperature of human bodies, and laboratory thermometers measure the temperature of all other bodies. Next is, human body temperature can fluctuate between 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius only. So the clinical thermometers have a temperature range of 35 to 42. Range from 35 to 42, it's a small range, high sensitivity, high sensitive thermometer. Whereas in case laboratory thermometer, the range measurement of the temperature of the laboratory thermometer is minus 10 degrees Celsius to 110 degree Celsius. So students, from this video you understand that there are two types of liquid in glass thermometer. One is mercury thermometer, that is mostly used in clinical purposes by the doctors. Other is alcoholic thermometer, that is being used in laboratory. Clinical thermometer is having small range, whereas mercury thermometer, whereas alcohol thermometer, that is laboratory thermometer, is having wide range. So clinical thermometer is having small range and more sensitivity, whereas laboratory thermometer is having more range and it is less sensitive. So in the next video lecture, student, we will discuss some advantages and disadvantages of mercury and alcohol. Plus we will discuss in the next video lectures how we can construct a thermometer and how the sensitivity and range can be depending upon the structure of the thermometer. What changes we will bring to make a thermometer more sensitive or less sensitive and having more range or less range. Student, till that time you can revise this video at home. You can pause the video and note down all the points on your notebook as star points. We'll see you in the next class. Till that time, take care.